Hello everyone, welcome to GK StudyEdge. Today we are going to discuss force and pressure. We have covered most of the important questions which are very common and repetitive in exams. We have particularly marked questions which have been asked in SSC exams over the past 3 years. Okay, so let's start with our session. First question, in a qualitative way, the tendency of undisturbed objects to stay at rest or to keep moving with the same velocity is called inertia. Let's understand what is inertia. Let's say there are two objects, object 1 and object 2. Okay. Object 1 is at rest and object 2 is moving with a uniform velocity along a straight line. Okay. Now these two objects will try to maintain their position of rest or of uniform motion, and this property of matter is called this property of matter is called inertia. Further, this inertia is of three types. First one is inertia of rest, second one is inertia of motion, and third one is inertia of direction. In inertia of rest, objects at rest wants to stay at rest, okay, and inertia of motion, objects in motion wants to continue its motion. And what is inertia of direction? In inertia of direction, objects moving in a straight line wants to continue to move along the same direction. Okay, so now we understood that what is inertia and what are the three important parts of inertia: inertia of rest, inertia of motion, and inertia of direction. Understood? Let's move on to next question. Next is, quantitatively, the inertia of an object is measured by its mass. Yes, mass is a measure of inertia. Okay, mass is a measure of inertia, and you should also remember that inertia is directly proportional to mass. Okay, so now we understood two things, that mass is a measure of inertia and inertia is directly proportional to mass. Let's move on to next question. Next is, identify the correct statement about inertia. This question was asked in SSC CGL exam in December 2022. Okay, so here are the four options, and the correct option is greater the mass, greater the inertia. Why so? We already know that inertia is directly proportional to mass. This means inertia increases with increase in mass and decreases with decrease in mass. Okay, because inertia and mass are directly proportional. Understood? Let's see next question. Next is, the Newton's first law is also called law of inertia. Okay, dear learners, if you find our contents valuable, please like the video. We are going to make such exam oriented videos on regular basis. So don't forget to subscribe the channel. This will motivate us to do even better. Now let's continue with the session. When a bus starts suddenly from rest, the people sitting, standing inside the bus move backwards. This is an example of Newton's law of motion. Basically, due to inertia this happens. Okay. Next is, an athlete runs before long jump to get advantage of inertia of motion. If a boy sitting in a train which is moving at a constant velocity throws a ball straight up into the air, the ball will fall into his hand. These are the practical questions which are very common in exams. Okay, so let's see the next question. Next is, a man in a train moving with a constant velocity drops a ball on the platform. The path of the ball as seen by an observer standing on platform is, your options are a straight line, a circle, a parabola, none. And the correct answer is a parabola. Okay. Which physical theory explains the generation of thrust by rocket engines, jet engines, and deflating balloons? Means, which is the physical theory which explains these three things? The correct answer is Newton's laws of motion. Okay. Next is, jet engine works on the phenomena of conservation of linear momentum. Next is, dash is a change of position over time. Motion is a change of position over time. Okay. Next is, which type of molecular motion does not contribute towards the internal energy? The answer is translational. Let's first understand what is a molecular motion. Molecular motion can be defined as the movement of constituent particles or molecules in a certain direction. Okay, and this molecular motion is of four types. First one is translational, second one is rotational, third one is vibrational, and fourth one is electronic. Okay, so now we know that what is a molecular motion and what are the four types of a molecular motion. Four types of molecular motions are translational, rotational, vibrational, and electronic. Okay, so let's move on to next question. Dash is the external agency applied on a body to change its state of rest or uniform motion. The answer is force. Okay, the product of mass of a body and the acceleration produced in it equals the dash acting on it. The answer is force. So we can write force equal to mass multiplied by acceleration. Okay, this is very important and you must remember. Let's move on to next question. Which law of Newton provides a quantitative definition of force? So Newton's second law of motion gives the definition of force. In science, a push or pull of an object is called force. Next is, the rate of change of linear momentum of body is proportional to the dash acting on it. Answer is force. According to Newton's second law of motion, rate of change of linear momentum of any body is directly proportional to the force acting on it. Okay, so we can write change in momentum divided by change in time equals force. Okay, so force is equal to rate of change of linear momentum of a body. Okay, or you can say that rate of change of linear momentum of a body is directly proportional to the force acting on it. Okay, let's see the next question. Acceleration is equal to the rate of change of velocity. As we already know that acceleration is equal to change in velocity over time. Okay, let's see next question. Acceleration is directly proportional to force. We know that force equal to mass multiplied by acceleration. So we can say that force is directly proportional to acceleration. Okay. Next is, according to the second law of motion, for a given force, acceleration is inversely proportional to the dash of an object. The answer is mass. Let's find out how. We already know that force equal to mass into acceleration. So acceleration will be equal to force by mass. So here you can see the relation between acceleration and mass. Acceleration is inversely proportional to the mass of an object. Okay. Next is, find the acceleration produced in a body of mass 10 kg when a force of 20 Newton applied on it. Okay, so let's solve this question. We already know that acceleration is equal to force by mass. Okay, so here force applied is 20 Newton divided by 10 kg. We know that Newton is 1 kg meter per second square. So we can write kg meter second square, and here it is already 10 kg. Okay, so you can see it is 2 meter per second square. Okay, so your answer is 2. Understood. Let's move on to next question. Next is, find the acceleration produced in a body which accelerates from 10 meter per second to 20 meter per second in 4 seconds. Let's solve this. We know that acceleration is equal to change in velocity divided by time period. Okay, so change in velocity is 20 minus 10 meter per second divided by how many second? 4 second. Okay, so here it is 10 by 4 meter per second square. It is 2.5 meter per second square. Okay, this is the answer. Let's move on to next question. Next is, if two forces act on an object from opposite directions, then the magnitude of the net force acting on it is the dash of the magnitudes of the two forces. Answer is difference. Let's understand it. Let's say there is a large stone and four people are pushing from this side, okay, with a force of 10 Newton. And here other four people are pushing from this direction, just from the opposite direction, and they are applying a force of 15 Newton. Then what is the net force acting on this large stone? The net force is 5 Newton. Okay, and can you guess in which direction the stone will move? Obviously, the stone will move in this direction because here the applied force is 15 Newton and here the applied force is 10 Newton. Okay, that's why due to the larger force, the stone will move in this direction. Okay, so we can say if two forces act on an object from opposite directions, then the magnitude of the net force acting on the object is the difference of the magnitude of the two forces, and here the difference is 5 Newton. Okay, I hope you understood. Dash is measured using torsion balance. The answer is force. Very small force is measured with the help of torsion balance. Okay, torsion balance is an instrument used for measuring very small forces such as electric attraction or repulsion. Okay. Next is dash intermolecular is also called the London force. Answer is dispersion forces are called London forces. What is the definition of a dispersion force? Dispersion forces are weakest intermolecular forces, okay, and they are a temporarily attractive force due to the formation of temporary dipoles in a non-polar molecule. Okay, this is the definition of a dispersion force. I hope you understood. Let's move on to next question. Next is, impulse can be defined as the effect of force acting over time to change the momentum of an object. Okay, you should also remember that impulse acts for a very short time and it is a vector quantity. Okay, let's see next question. Mention few examples of contact forces. Examples are muscular force, frictional force, tension force, air resistance force, applied force, spring force, etc. Okay, next is name the external force that acts radically inward during the circular motion of a body. Okay, the force is centripetal force. Centripetal force is a force that makes a body follow a curved path. Okay, it's a very important force. It acts inward during the circular motion. Okay, let's see the next question. Railway tracks on curves are banked so that necessary centripetal force may be obtained from the horizontal component of the weight of the train. Okay, when milk is churned, the cream separates from it due to centrifugal force. Okay, the working principle of a washing machine is centrifugation. Next is dash in a particular direction is velocity. Answer is speed. Velocity is a speed with a specific direction. This is very important. Okay, velocity is basically speed with a specific direction. Okay, and obviously velocity is a vector quantity. Understood? Let's see the next question. What is speed? Speed can be defined as the rate of change of position of an object in any direction. Okay, here direction is not specific, and due to this speed is a scalar quantity. Okay, Next is, when the speed of a car is doubled, then what will be the braking force of the car to stop it? Answer is 4 times. Next is, dash time graph shows the speed of an object. Answer is, distance time graph shows the speed of an object. Distance and here time. This slope will give you speed of an object. Okay. And how do we get velocity? In place of distance, it will be displacement, and here it will be time. Now this slope will give you velocity. And how do we get acceleration? This is velocity and this is time, and this slope will give you acceleration. Okay, because what is acceleration? Acceleration is change of velocity over time. Okay, so we understood three things here, that distance time graph gives us a speed, displacement time graph gives us velocity, and velocity time graph gives us acceleration. Okay, these are the three important things. Let's move on to next question. Next is, a body of mass 8 kg is moving with a velocity of 4 meter per second. Find its momentum. It's a very easy question, I think. We already know that momentum is equal to mass into velocity. Okay, and here mass is 8 kg and velocity is 4 meter per second. Okay, so answer is 32 kg meter per second. Okay, so this is the answer. Let's move on to next question. Next is, if the velocity of a body is doubled, its momentum, it will also double. Okay. Next is, motion of an object is dash if its velocity is constant. Answer is uniform. Let's understand what is the definition of a uniform motion. When an object travels equal distances in equal intervals of time, it is said to be moving in a uniform speed. Okay. For example, motion of the blades of a ceiling fan. Okay. Let's see the next question. The motion of dash body is an example of a uniformly accelerated motion. Options are resting, decelerating, parabolic, and freely falling. So the correct answer is freely falling. Okay, the motion of a freely falling body is an example of a uniformly accelerated motion. So let's understand what is a uniformly accelerated motion. When an object is traveling in a straight line with an increase in velocity at equal intervals of time, okay, then the object is said to be in uniform acceleration. Understood? Let's see next question. Next question. Friction depends on the smoothness of the surfaces. The force of friction always dash the applied force. Answer is opposes. Basically, the force of friction always opposes the applied force. Okay. Here we need to understand what is the relation between friction and smoothness of the surface. Okay, let's see this. Here, this is a smooth surface and this is a rough surface. Okay, and this is an object and this is the same object. Okay, this is friction here and this is again friction. Friction is basically caused due to the irregularities on the two surfaces in contact. Okay, larger the irregularities, more will be the friction. Okay, here the smooth surface will give lesser irregularity and due to this the friction will be less, and here a rough surface will give larger irregularities and that will increase the amount of friction as well. Okay, understood? So this is the relation between friction and smoothness of the surface, and the force of friction always opposes the applied force. Okay, here we understood two things. What is the relation between friction and smoothness of surface? Okay, and the force of friction always opposes the applied force. Okay, let's see the next question. It is difficult to walk on ice because of absence of friction. Due to absence of friction, it is very difficult to walk on ice. So now we know the importance of friction as well, right? Next is, between sliding friction and rolling friction, which one is greater? Answer is, sliding friction is greater than rolling friction. You should also remember that static friction is greater than sliding friction and sliding friction is greater than rolling friction. Okay. Now we will look into these three types of frictions one by one. Okay. Here, this is a surface and an object on it, and a person is pushing from this direction, okay, to move. Then the static friction can be defined as the friction experienced when individuals try to move a stationary object, okay, on a surface. And the amount of friction here is the maximum, okay. Next is sliding friction. Here, this is an object, okay, and this is sliding against this surface. Okay, so this can be defined as the friction resisting the motion when two objects sliding against each other. Okay, this is called sliding friction. And what is a rolling friction? This is a surface and there is an object which is rolling on it. And this can be defined as the friction resisting the motion when a body rolls on a surface. Okay, now we have understood that static friction is greater than sliding friction and sliding friction is greater than rolling friction, and the definitions of these three frictions. Okay, let's move on to next question. Next is the frictional force exerted by fluids is also called drag force. Okay, next is soap bubble attains spherical shape due to surface tension. Due to surface tension, soap bubble attains a spherical shape, and also the shape of a raindrop is spherical due to surface tension. Okay, insects can move on the surface of water without sinking due to surface tension of water. Among rubber, wet clay, steel and plastic, which one is most elastic? The answer is steel is the most elastic one. Okay. Next is, with what do you divide thrust in a liquid to obtain the value of pressure? The answer is area. Pressure is defined as thrust per unit area on the surface. Okay, so we can write pressure equal to thrust divided by area. Okay, let's move on to next question. On which principle does the hydraulic lift works? Pascal's law. On the principle of Pascal's law, hydraulic lift works. Okay. Next is, a deep sea diver may hurt his eardrum during diving because of, options are lack of oxygen, high atmospheric pressure, high water pressure. Option D, all of the above. And the correct answer is all of the above. Okay. Next is, very small time intervals can be accurately measured using atomic clocks. With the help of atomic clocks, one can measure very small interval of time. Fine. Let's see next question. The last question, the angle in which a cricket ball should be hit to travel maximum horizontal distance is 45° with horizontal. It means at 45° angle, if a cricket ball is hit, it will travel the maximum horizontal distance. Okay. And this fact is based on projectile motion like this. Okay, a form of motion where an object moves in a parabolic path. Okay, this is a parabolic path. Here again, projectile motion only occurs when there is one force applied at the beginning on the trajectory. Force is applied at the beginning of the trajectory here only. Okay, after that there is no application of force, after which the only interference is from gravity. Okay, once you applied force here and then there is no application of force, the only thing working on it is the gravity. Okay, gravitational pull of earth, and due to this it falls. Understood? So now we know that what is a projectile motion and at what angle a cricket ball should be hit to travel maximum horizontal distance. So that's it for today. We have discussed most of the important questions from force and pressure. If you learned something valuable, please share with your friends, like the video and subscribe the channel. Thank you very much. Have a good day.